Hello everyone, and welcome to the first What If on my channel. We're gonna be doing What If Devastator was in Transformers Prime. Now, in the original timeline, Devastator obviously was not in TFP. There was a slight mention of the Constructicons in the New Recruit episode with Smokescreen. But in this timeline, the Constructicons are in TFP. Now, let's see how them being in the series affects everything. The story opens up with Bulkhead and Bumblebee searching the Arctic for a signal that they located. This being the Scraplets. In the original timeline, they took it back to base with no interference. But in this universe, a group of 6 Viacons arrives along with Soundwave. A fight breaks out with the Viacons firing on the Autobots firing on the Viacons. Viacons start dying. Then Soundwave makes a quick grab for the relic with his tentacles. As the last of the Viacon troopers die, Bee and Bulkhead look up to see Soundwave blasting off into the sky, open a ground bridge, and he leaves. Then they report in to Autobot base saying the cons snatched the relic or whatever. They don't know it's Scraplets, obviously. Ratchet then activates the ground bridge and Bee and Bulkhead return to base. Now, back at the Nemesis. Soundwave reports back to Starscream on his find. And Starscream asks, "What is it?" And then Soundwave just shows a picture that it's held in the lab. Because Soundwave's obviously trying to research what it is. And that's where Starscream says, "No matter, that's not our priority." Meanwhile, in the lab, a Scraplet breaks out. And immediately, they go into a feeding frenzy. Because obviously the warship is made out of metal. Then the alarms start ringing around the warship. And then Starscream tells Soundwave, "Give me a visual." And then they show a camera feed with all the Scraplets and eating through the lab and everything. And escaping. And then one eats the camera right before their eyes. And Starscream gets shocked. Scraplets? Starscream is obviously not going to be an idiot and tell the Decepticons to attack. He's going to order a complete withdrawal from the warship. Because the warship is, lost at this point with all the Scraplets. They're just going to eat it all up. So, Soundwave bridges out Starscream first. Because Starscream would want to save himself, likely, before all of his teammates. Then Soundwave opens a ground bridge in the brig. All the Viacons are commanded, obviously, to move into the ground bridge. You see waves of them running. But just as the last group of Viacons run into the brig, the Scraplets come in and devour 10 Viacons. Then Soundwave, seeing that, runs through the ground bridge, closes it. They all watch from below as the warship is covered by Scraplets. Then Starscream orders Soundwave to ground bridge the warship and all the Scraplets into the sun. Then he does as Starscream commands. All the Scraplets, including the remaining of the warship, and it's done. The Scraplets are gotten rid of. The Nemesis is destroyed. Starscream then immediately looks around at all the Decepticons. Soundwave, even Makeshift is there. Starscream instantly realizes they need a new base before the Autobots catch on to their location. Starscream then thinks, "Yes, of course." Then he commands Soundwave to make a call, summoning the Constructicons. Moment you guys been waiting for. Yes, he summons the Constructicons to Earth using Soundwave. Not too long after, the Constructicons arrive on Earth. Then Starscream commands them and the Viacons to construct them a new base in an Energon mine. Now, the episode con job would go completely different. Wheeljack would not be replaced by Makeshift, since Starscream is obviously way too busy focusing on constructing a new base. So, Makeshift will be used later on. Now, Wheeljack does spend a little bit of time with the Autobots on Earth, but then he realizes he wants to leave, you know? Because at the end of the day, I think Wheeljack still would have left Earth even if Makeshift hadn't interfered. Now, for the episode Convoy, I feel like the episode would have gone down more or less the same. But one thing, the Constructicons sent out those Viacons to try to retrieve the dingus. So yeah, everything stays more or less the same, Silas's introduction, except remember, the Constructicons sent out those Viacons for the dingus, not Starscream or Soundwave. The Constructicons. Well, mostly Scrapper, because he is the commander of the Constructicons. Now we get to the episode Deus Ex Machina. Now it opens up pretty much the same way. Bulkhead, Breakdown have their match at the Energon Harvester site. We then cut to the Energon mine, aka the new Decepticon base, where Soundwave is rolling in Megatron's dead body in like a stretcher, you know those things that the ambulance uses? Yeah, anyway, he rolls it in where Knockout and Hook attend and start cleaning out his body for a memorial. The museum infiltration, I'd say, goes the same. You know, Team Prime encounter Knockout and Breakdown. They escape with They go with the Energon Harvester to a completely different site than the mine that the cons are currently using for their new base, where the Constructicons and Starscream are at. The Energon Harvester is then used on the Viacon. Breakdown, Knockout, Scrapper, Mixmaster, Longhaul, Hook, Bone Crusher, they all look in fear at the Energon Harvester sucking the Energon out of that Viacon. Once the Viacon dies, Hook says, "I'm glad I don't have to fix that." Longhaul is like, "I'm glad I don't have to haul all this Energon away. We could just suck it into that orb." Bulkhead arrives and he's like, "Wait, are those the Constructicons?" And then he just thinks, it doesn't matter, I gotta stop Starscream. Some random glass thing makes noise when he's stepping, which makes Knockout, Breakdown, and the Constructicons notice he's there. First comes Knockout and Breakdown. Now, he takes down Knockout and Breakdown the exact same way. Then all the Constructicons surround him and pin him. They then take him to Starscream, where they have him restrained. And Starscream's like, "What to do with you?" And then he looks at the Energon Harvester, and without a thought, he starts draining him. And the Constructicons let go, obviously, so they don't get drained too. Then Starscream says, "You're a big one. This could take a while." But not a few seconds after, Bulkhead gets up and starts walking towards him. And just like in canon, he destroys the Energon Harvester, throws it into the sky, and it blows up. Then he backs up and collapses down. That's when Knockout, Breakdown, and the Constructicons surround him. And Knockout says the usual, he's a glutton for punishment. Breakdown laughs, then a ground bridge opens up behind them all. Out comes Prime, RC, and Bumblebee. Now, just like in canon, Knockout and Breakdown do drive away, but the Constructicons are there. Optimus and Scrapper meet eye to eye, and Optimus is amazed to see the Constructicons. And Scrapper says, well, Optimus Prime, it's been a while." Then Optimus is like, "Save the reintroduction, Scrapper. What are you doing here?" And that's where Starscream jumps in and tells him the story. They found scraplets in the Arctic, and They destroyed the Nemesis. They ground bridged the Nemesis into the sun, and their ship was destroyed. The Autobots are amazed of this. Even Bulkhead and Bumblebee. Bulkhead is obviously a little down, but he hears and he's like, that's what was in the pod? And B's amazed too. Bulkhead just thinks, glad we didn't bring that back to base. And that's where Optimus says, we will take our injured friend back to base. But the Constructicons and Starscream don't want to let them go that easily. So, there's a fight. Autobots are a little outnumbered, but they manage to pull through. I could see them fighting. Scrapper fights Prime. RC and Bumblebee duke out the Constructicons. They're mostly just dodging the Constructicons' punches because they're small and agile than the Constructicons. Then Scrapper says, enough toying, Constructicons. Combine. Then the Constructicons combine. Optimus is a little shocked because no, this is the first time any combiner has ever been formed in this universe. So yeah, Optimus, B, RC, and Bulkhead, somewhat aware, are all shocked of what they see. Starscream's like, destroy them. Devastator obeys. Yes, Lord Starscream. Optimus immediately orders RC and Bumblebee to get Bulkhead out of here because he's still low on Energon. So he commands Ratchet to activate the ground bridge. RC Bumblebee drag a wounded Bulkhead through, but RC looks back and says, Prime, what are you doing? And he says, go, I have business to attend to. Then Optimus shoots Starscream in the face. Starscream then jets off. And Devastator's like, coward. Because he's not surprised. Starscream's done that before. He's always been a coward. Optimus then transforms, driving towards him. Devastator marches towards Prime. Then Optimus transforms, jumps, and punches Devastator in the face. Devastator doesn't go down, but, he's kind of surprised of the punch. He then grabs Optimus, throws him into the mountain, walks towards Prime, beats up on Prime, but midway through a punch, Optimus dodges it, runs towards a bit of Energon left over, grabs it, throws it at Devastator's face, and shoots it right in front of Devastator, blowing the Energon up. Devastator then discombines, all the Constructicons landing on the floor. Optimus then marches before them. They all look up at him, but Optimus doesn't do anything. He looks at them, walks away. Ratchet opens a ground bridge. He returns to base. Then Soundwave opens a ground bridge. The Constructicons all go back to base. Back at Autobot base, Optimus checks up on Bulkhead, but Bulkhead's good now. He goes, picks up Miko, then that all ends pretty much the same way it did as in canon. Now back at the new Decepticon base, which I have yet to give a name to, Starscream tells Scrapper, did you destroy Prime? Scrapper says, no. He escaped. Then Starscream says, you're worthless. I called you the F, and you couldn't destroy Optimus Prime? And Scrapper and the Constructicons all look at him pissed off. Then Scrapper says, you're the one who ran away like a pussy. At least we stood up and fight. Then Starscream's like, grrr. Then Starscream's like, get back to work. I need this base operational. Then Scrapper's like, yeah, alright. Starscream then leaves the room. And then Scrapper turns to his fellow Constructicons like, I have a new project in mind for us. Then they march into a room where you see Megatron. And that's where I'm going to leave it off here, everybody. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this What If so far. And see you all in part 2.